The Enhanced Planning Worksheet allows us to go in and perform both the standard Business Central MRP planning and also, a different mechanism for planning, which is purchase-oriented planning. So if you're in a distribution environment, I'll show you those two in a sec. But first, let me point out sort of some of the key things that Enhanced Planning Worksheet brings to the table. Really, what it does, like if you look at this, you go, hey, that looks exactly like the standard planning worksheet, right? Pretty much. There's a bunch of lines here. There's some fact boxes, and yes, you could use it exactly like you use the existing planning worksheet within Business Central. But what we add to that, over on the side here, we've got a little bit of supply demand summary. So these are all nice to have little things, and we underestimate the value of these additional capabilities, right? When you're doing planning, if you're a planner and you've got 500 lines to deal with, you want this type of information at your fingertips. You want to be able to see, what's my sales demand, what's my service order demand, all that kind of stuff. And you want to see what the net result of that plan is going to be, right? And then we can also see other companies and locations and those sorts of things in here as well. And if you've set it up, I've got probably 10 locations within this company. I only care about these 3 because when I'm planning, I might decide, you know what, I don't want to actually, manufacture this particular item. I might see another location that's got a bunch in stock, and I can come in here, switch it to a transfer order and transfer it versus, manufacture it. So this ability to see what other locations have is kind of handy. Down here, we've got the vendor planning summary. Now that's a manufactured item, but if I choose a purchased item, we can see for that particular vendor, we can see exactly what I'm planning to spend for that with that particular vendor, and do I meet my minimum prepaid amount? So this is more from a distribution perspective, right? If I have, minimum, well, maybe manufacturing as well. If I'm buying steel plate or something, I'll have like a minimum spend before I can get prepaid shipping or a discount or something like that. Or maybe it's by weight. I can also set up minimum weights to get prepaid shipping or discounts and those sorts of things. So we can set that up, and then this will indicate whether we've reached those purchasing thresholds or not. So this is just here sort of for information. I'll show you the full vendor planning summary in a moment. But if you are purchasing, like if you've got a group of purchasers, you've got 3 or 4 purchasers, and each one of those looks after specific vendors, this is ideal because I say, hey, Joe is looking after this particular vendor, and he can plan at that level. He can say, okay, yeah, I got 17,000 roughly to spend with that vendor right now, and he can cut the PO sort of at that level without having to go in and review each individual item potentially. Okay, and then down here, this is the standard on-track planning from Business Central. So that's kind of handy. That's great. That's not that big of a deal. But down here, we also have a whole bunch of other stuff. So one of the things in here is this this chart, and this is kind of nice. Let me find one that's got some actual history in here. This guy here has some history. So what this does is it gives us, a nice little visualization. If I'm a planner and I'm in here, and I'm saying, hey, this thing is telling me to order, 100 of these. Is that realistic? I might think, you know what, that doesn't seem right. Down here, I've got a very quick and easy visualization to tell me, does that make sense or not, right? Here's my sales and purchase history, like this, line chart is my purchase history. I can click on that, drill down on the sales history, on the purchase history, any of that kind of stuff. And everything I need for making those decisions while I'm planning is right there at my fingertips. Okay, so this gives me a nice little quick visual overview of what's going on. If I want to see that in a more tabular based form, I can click the history tab here, and I've got all my history that makes up that particular chart. I can also go in and look at my supply demand, like what do I have for sales orders, what do I have for purchase orders, what am I planning, and I've got that sort of thing that keeps track of the running total based on my ins and outs. So it's very similar to the item availability by event, but it's right here at my fingertips if I want to do that kind of analysis. Now, when I came in here and I looked at this, I said, this is ridiculous. I'm not going to buy 100 like it says because, I only ever sell, 16 or 15 a month. I want to change it. Well, for those of you using the planning today, you know what happens if you change this. The next time I run this thing, it's going to yell at me and tell me to buy another 85 if I change this to 15. So that's a challenge. So what do? Well, I can come in here, and instead of having to click 5 times to get to the stock keeping unit or the item card, I just click on planning here, and I say, you know what? Yeah, this is ridiculous. My reorder point should be 5. my minimum order quantity should be 10, or this might be driven by the vendor, but whatever, I'll change it here. My minimum order quantity is going to be 10, and that's updating that stock keeping unit right now. So I don't have to drill down 5 times, scroll down halfway through the screen to find the planning parameters, make those changes. I've got everything here at my fingertips. Again, like I said, we underestimate the value of having everything in one place. When you look at these planners and they're having to drill down and dig around and find things, trying to get that root information to figure out, does this make sense or not? That is painful. Just these little bits that I've shown you will save you hours of time every day if you're doing a lot of planning. All right, so now this all works whether you run the standard Microsoft MRP and MPS, like the standard calculate regenerative plan that you would see, in the planning worksheet. But we've also got this additional capability called calculate purchase plan. So this is more for distribution environments where I can come in here, and when I do a calculate purchase plan, it does a few things that are different from the standard MRP. So this is the, obviously the launch screen for that. I'm not going to go through every option here, but you can, look at that if you install the trial version on AppSource. But what this does that's different from MRP is the biggest difference is we don't look at dates. And the reason for that is, well, actually, let me back up a bit. When you run standard MRP or MPS in a distribution environment, it gets very noisy. It gets very messy. You get a million cancel messages, reschedule messages, all of that kind of stuff, which is extremely painful for people in the distribution environment to manage. We don't like that. And the bulk of the reason for getting that mess of messages that people have to deal with, right? You see new cancel all the time. I got to figure out, well, those two offset, and I'm going to delete it. Terrible, terrible. The reason that happens for the most part is everything is date phased in standard MRP. And that's very important if you're doing manufacturing, right? You want your dates accurate and all those sorts of things, which is why I invest in something like MX APS, which is a scheduling tool. But in a distribution environment, you don't really care about that. What you care about is, okay, I've cut this PO. I'm not going to reschedule it or change the quantities or whatever. That's coming from China, or that's coming from a vendor down the street. It's done, right? It's locked in. So we don't really look at the dates. And what that does is it eliminates all those cancel messages, all those reschedule messages, all those sorts of things that cause pain in that type of environment. And the other thing it does is makes it much faster. So we've got customers that run 100,000 SKUs through the system, and it takes a few minutes, right? So versus MRP, which would take you half the day to run that kind of plan. And the other nice thing about this run purchase plan is it's already pre-built, ready for the job queue. So you can throw this in the job queue and have this thing run every morning at 7 o'clock. It takes 10 minutes to run if you've got 100,000 SKUs or whatever. You come in and you've got all your suggestions. Okay, so just for fun, I will run this. So it's going to delete my plan. We're going to run through. I filtered down the main, so I've probably only got a few hundred SKUs to go through, but it takes a few seconds and it generates all the suggestions I need. You'll notice there's no cancels, no reschedules, nothing. Makes it very quick and easy to actually go in, run the plan, and generate it. Now, I will mention it does actually do production order planning, but it only does the top level. This is more like an MPS plan than MRP. But now I could run standard MRP and blow out the components for that particular top level item. Okay, so that's very important, right? So that calculate purchase plan for anybody that's in a distribution environment, that's almost a must-have. It's going to save you hours a day. It's going to pay for itself the first day you use the thing, and away you go. All right, so I've probably done some overkill here on the Enhanced Planning Worksheet. There's a whole bunch of other things, just nice to have little things where you can jump into the item card or SKU very easily. We can do things like drill into some of the other tools that we have, like the forecasts and the planning review, all of that kind of stuff. It's just really nice to have everything in one spot. I guess one other thing I should mention is the, on the standard planning worksheet, you can't do drop ship and special order. You have to go to the requisition worksheet, which is kind of weird. Here we bring it all into the same worksheet so you can manage your entire process flow, including drop ships, special orders, everything from one place. Okay, so that's a little bit on the Enhanced Planning Worksheet. Now, related to that, I mentioned the Enhanced Vendor Summary, or the vendor Planning Summary page. So the vendor summary, what that allows you to do is come in here and sort of do your planning more at the vendor level than at the individual item level. So what this allows me to do is come in, and transfer orders as well, right? So if I wanted to look at all my transfer orders from, the blue location or something like that, I can include this in here. So I can manage transfer orders and, vendor orders at the same time. So I can come in here and actually, let me get rid of that because I don't have demand in the blue location for some of my vendors. So here, the idea behind this is, again, whether it's manufacturing and distribution, I might have a purchasing team that has, 3 or 4 purchasers, and each one looks after a certain number of vendors. Well, just like in standard Business Central, you can go set up, the My Vendors stuff. So we can set up which vendors I specifically look after. And then what I see is in this list, I see only the vendors that I care about. Now, we can also show any of the vendors that are planned or both planned and just my vendors, but these are the guys I care about. And I can look at this thing and I can say, you know what, we've got a bunch of stuff I'm ordering from this, but we're short $9,000 before I get my discount or my prepaid freight or whatever it is. So maybe I want to wait before I cut that PO. And I'll see this update. If I have that purchase plan thing running every, half an hour or something like that, I'll see this update regularly and I can decide, okay, yep, I'm good to go. And then I can just fire off the planning worksheet right from there for that vendor. And I can go ahead and, carry out that action message and cut the PO for that specific vendor. Right? So that's the idea behind this vendor planning summary, is it allows you to assign vendors to specific employees, and then they manage that vendor purchasing, at a higher level than just looking at the planning worksheet and those individual items. So this can be handy again in distribution, but also in manufacturing if you have a team of purchasers looking after different vendors.
Hey, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel for more great content.